Hey everyone. As you know, maybe if you've been watching my YouTube channel or reading my blog the last 3 to 4 weeks, I've talked a lot about anxiety. And I had this really great question posed to me the other day, and it's a question that I don't know if it's ever been asked of me. I'm sure it's certainly been asked of other people, but I haven't really I don't know thought about it too often. And there's some reasons for that, but the question was, what's the difference between worry and anxiety? And I think the reason I don't think about it too often is sometimes in conversation we interchange those words a lot. So worry, stress, anxiety, fear, all those words get kind of thrown together and we kind of assume they're the same thing. And I know they're different and they can be very nuanced, actually. And sometimes if we're not clear about the word we're using, we can kind of throw everything together. But I think it's a great question. What's the difference between worry and anxiety? And so as the person asked me that question, I kind of gave him an answer like this, and it's important that you understand kind of the context for me, first of all. And number one is, first of all, I believe that anxiety can be a huge opportunity for growth in our lives, right? That's what I write about for most of my book, The Anxious Christian, that when we face anxiety and we actually work through it, on the other side, there's a great opportunity for growth in our lives, right? That's really kind of the premise or beginning point for me. But first, that assumes that we actually look at anxiety, right? Because we can do several things with anxiety. One, we can look at it and pay attention to it and kind of see what's going on underneath the hood, in essence. What is anxiety shining a light on? Or we can just ignore it and sweep it under the rug, right? And so when I talk about the difference between anxiety and worry, I'm assuming, first of all, that you could possibly see anxiety as opportunity for growth and that you're looking at anxiety in your life. You're not sweeping it under the rug. Because when you sweep anxiety under the rug, it turns into more serious things. Things like some type of anxiety disorder or a much more severe depression or some type of addiction. And so at that point, you can miss out on an opportunity for growth. At that point, when you're in addiction or a deep depression or some type of severe anxiety disorder, growth might mean just actually reaching out for help and going to see someone and getting on some type of program to help you get through that. Where, for example, if I look at anxiety and I catch it kind of in the beginning when I'm anxious about something, growth may mean the difference between not getting up and giving a speech and getting up and giving a speech and feeling like, man, that was a huge thing, I overcame that. Or growth may mean having a discussion with our spouse over something that we know may cause conflict and we actually enter that discussion and work through it. Or growth by facing our anxiety might mean tackling that huge project at work that we fear, and we do it and we get through it. And so, again, for me, anxiety to be an opportunity for growth, we have to first of all face it, right, and then work through it. When we don't face it, it turns into more severe things. And so, literally, when the guy asked the question, "What's the difference between anxiety and growth, or anxiety and worry?" I'm thinking about when you look at anxiety as an opportunity for growth. And so, for me, worry is when there are things that are in my life that I have no control over. I worry maybe about the state of the economics in the country. If it is sustainable, right? I mean, I can do my part, but I have no control sometimes. End of the day, worry is maybe that I worry about what's going on in Washington D.C. Right? I could vote and I can do things, but at the end of the day, I may not have ultimate control. Right? Worry is that I live in North Texas and tornadoes are going to come through here at different parts of the season and they're going to wipe out our homes, right? I can worry about that, but I have little control over that. And so all of us can think of things that we worry about, but we don't have little control, or we have very little control at the end of the day. Where for me, anxiety is something that comes up in my life, which actually may cause some worry, but I can work through it. I can actually affect the change. I can participate in that, right? So I worried growing up about the teacher calling me to read out loud, right? So I would avoid reading out loud. And I worried about that. And I knew the only way through that was to face that worry, that anxiety, and to get up and speak in front of people. So I directly affected that anxiety I had, that worry I had about speaking, about reading. In the beginning, I thought, I can't control this. A teacher will call me. So it became just worry. And then as I older I got, I realized I can do something different. I can face those fears and put myself in positions to face those fears. And so, originally what was worry, the fear of getting up on stage and having to read out loud or be in a play or preach a sermon, eventually became less worry and more anxiety because I started to actually participate and ask to be in those things and to work through those issues. So I directly affected my anxiety head on. I directly impacted my anxiety head on. And on the other side of doing those things, I had huge growth in my life. Just huge opportunities to become a different person. And so again, worry is when I think there's things in my life that I can't control. And even if I try to impact them, I have little control. Anxiety, though, is when I have things in my life that I can impact, I can control, I can face, right? And I get it. There are people who have severe anxiety, severe anxiety disorders, where they may not be able to actually impact their life in some very effective ways. For them, it may mean like literally just reaching out, calling a doctor, a psychiatrist, counselor, and getting help. For them, it might mean managing not having a panic attack that day. And that may not seem like growth to them, but in some ways that is. And so for me, that's kind of how I parse and nuance between worry and anxiety there. And so I'm curious for you, maybe what's the difference for you between worry and anxiety? And if you have some thoughts on that, just post them in the comment section on YouTube. And think about that in your own life. Think about the things that you don't have control over that you worry about. And then think about the things that you have anxiety about that maybe you can actually impact. You can do something different. And again, there's a lot of different, like I said, a lot of different ways that we can kind of think through anxiety and worry. Everyone's got different opinions, but for me and the background that I'm coming from and the base point kind of that I wrote my book from, that's kind of how I parse those things out currently in my life. And more ideas may come to light for me, or more light may be shed on this topic as I mature and as I kind of work through some of these things. But where I'm at today, that's kind of the difference in how I might kind of explain it to someone. So hope that helps, and hope you guys have a good day.